I'm a piece of the universe experiencing itself through Elton's perspective on a divine path, a authenticity philosophist, and I'm on a mission to let you know. A journey, a healing journey, which begins from within towards authenticity is the answer to freedom. And now you can leave. Right? I put it as who am I? There you go. There's the title. And if you want, you can leave. I'll just talk a little bit more about how I came to this. Oh, this started 4 years ago in 2020. I It was the pandemic. I moved to Canada, like during it. I mean, it wasn't during the pandemic. The coronavirus had just started, and I found myself in Canada, like late February 2020. Worked in an office for 2 weeks, and then worked from home. And then we know. And in that time, I realized one of two things. Actually, before that, I realized that I moved to a new country, new job, new everything. No one really knew me. And that if I died in my apartment, it would take people a few weeks to figure out that I was dead. And it was scary, but it was more liberating to know that. And that's what set me on this path then. I was like, okay, all right. So, and I knew I wasn't happy with myself at that point. That's an understatement. I was deeply depressed. Let's just deeply, like deeply. I was just kidding, but fucking deeply depressed. But you couldn't see it on the outside. Absolutely couldn't. I had my mask on. Like, some of the ladies put makeup, but they don't look the same. It was like that, okay? It was like that. And, oh, I found myself like asking a few questions. I was like, yo, why have I been living this life kind of thing, right? And up until that point, right, society told me this particular life I to live by in order to be happy, right? In order to just be a good person, enjoying my life. But up until that point, everything was pulling me away from it. The only two things I didn't do is I didn't buy a house and I didn't get married. And I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful to my mind, that I stopped for a second. I stopped. I'm thankful to my ego, actually, that I stopped. I was like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let me put my 2 cents in it. What is going on here? Right? We've been given this path. I've only been getting more depressed and more angry. Oh, the anger started to build too. And then, and I wasn't getting laid. I was making friends ish with women, but it wasn't working. I was making money. That was the only thing that I had going for myself. So I was in this space and I just kept getting more miserable. And I was like, wait a minute, like getting married because I saw people that got married and who they fucking were after getting married. I was like, dude, that can't be like that can't be the answer either. Getting the house too. I've seen people buy a house and it's like, yo, it's sometimes worse than renting. So I was like, yo, something isn't adding up. And that is when I began my healing journey. I was like, yo, something has got to change. I've got to figure something out about the situation that I'm in. And I remember telling my sister-in-law too at that time. So I was, I was fat. I was fucking self-hate, dude, like all of it. All of it. I was like the perfect people pleaser. I was the perfect people pleaser. I know I'm still fat. But I lost weight and gained weight, right? And I don't need to explain myself to you. Why am I doing that? Anyway, let's keep moving. So I remember telling her, I was like, Nicole, I'm either gonna be the worst I've ever been coming out of this pandemic or the best. Alright? Time is gonna tell which one it's gonna be. And I guess, I don't, now it's a rhetorical thing at this point, right? So I don't have to answer that question. I don't think so. I don't think so. it's been a long fucking journey to try and get to this point that I'm at of freedom. And I'll talk about momentarily when just today that happened. It just clicked. So on this journey, it was trying to identify exactly what made me up, right? So if you take a look at my who am I statement that I said earlier, I am the universe. I'm a piece of the universe experiencing itself through Elton's perspective on a divine path. Right? So this you get like it's a very impactful statement. Yo, and by the way, this took 4 years for me to narrow this down, all right, to a simple sentence of who am I. And I urge you, and this who am I doesn't change. Okay, it's taken me 4 years of everything. Of everything. I went all in, peeps. I went all in to figure this out. Okay? All in. Whatever there is to it, right? Money, job security, validation, attention, worthiness, family, all of it. All of it. I blew my life up more ways than I can count over these 4 years. I blew my life up. I started building it again. I blew that up. I started building again. I blew it up. Like, I've lost count how many times I've blown my life up. But I'll say this. If the 4-year version of me and I were to have a conversation right now, it would be two different people. Like, we are two different people. The only thing that we have in common is the piece of the universe that we both share. That's it. That's it. And that piece is different for everyone, but nonetheless, we are all the universe too. And universe, right? You can add your own word to it. God, source, what have you. Add your word to it. And I just felt like a little bit of chills, like saying that. I haven't verbalized it in such a context ever before. Because the thing is, like, now I know, right? So now I know it's like this is what it is. So right, so if you think about it, right, so it's like that piece, right? So I've been able to dissect both the oneness and the uniqueness within that first line. I am a piece of the universe, right? I'm a piece of it. Teal Swan, I'll give a shout out to Teal Swan here. One of the things she said was, if you take a mirror and then you drop it, it shatters, right? Each one of those are pieces of the same whole. But it's not the same piece, right? Every piece is unique, right? So while we're going towards oneness, the goal isn't to become one person, all of us. I see the girls wearing yoga pants and those UGG boots. I don't know if you'll still do it, but holy shit. Y'all were just the same person when y'all wear that. Anyway, I'm just kidding, okay? Just kidding. But not really, too. And with the guys, I mean, it's... if I'm gonna, like, let me throw some shit on my own team, too. For the guys, it's... I don't know, the same haircut. I mean, I guess I'm coming after the guys with hair, the same cars. The run for money. That money is going to magically... that money is gonna magically be the solution to all your problems. Yeah. Yeah, dude, I see you. Oh, how's that money hunt going, huh? I mean, sure, your life is getting better, but do you feel better about yourself? If you do, amazing. Great on you. But don't fucking lie, okay? Wow, I went on a tangent there. Anyway, what I was trying to get at is we are authentic in that each one of us has a part to play. And that is where the on a divine path comes in. And I know, this is so I'll make a separate video about free will and destiny, but I'll just say this, okay? I was lost for 7 years. 7 years, I was lost, okay? Actually, maybe 8 years. Actually, maybe 8 years. So I started working at 23, and then somewhere around 27. So 5 years, I was definitively lost, and then about 3 of those years, I'm getting this a little mixed up. So from 23 to 27, so 4 years, totally sucked in. And then 27 onwards, so 27, 28, 29, 30, actually 28 onwards, right? 28, 29, 30, 31. So 4 years, I was coming out of it. I was coming out of this kind of autopilot life that I lived at, right? So all I'm like trying to say at this point is, you have free will that will allow you and align you towards your divine path. And sometimes it's, for me, like totally it's been 7 years, right? For some people, it's like fewer years, like 2 or 3 years. Some people, it's like 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, right? So whenever you figure that out, that is the kind of like the purpose in a way of life, right? And then from there, right? So I've identified that, and then from there, from the first piece of this, which is I'm a piece of the universe, experiencing itself through Elton's perspective, on a divine path, right? So for you would be like whatever your name's perspective, on a divine path. And then I have my own, then I have like Elton's kind of identity, right? This unique expression of who I am here. Right, and that is this authenticity philosophist, because yeah, this is what I truly believe and know is the answer, right? That it is to come back to your true self, and that is its own journey. And then how do you go about that? It's the healing journey, right? So you have to heal your emotional wounds in order to come to this understanding and this knowing that a healing journey which begins from within, right? You're not like looking outward for it, you're within. That the validation, the acceptance, and the worthiness comes from within. Towards that authenticity that I'm talking about is that answer to freedom. If you want to talk about what is authenticity too, we can cover that next as well. Actually, let's just cover it, right? Let's just cover it. I'll give you a brief snippet, right? So, authenticity is your true self. And then it's authenticity being your true self and what that means for you. I'll have a separate video talking explicitly about what is authenticity. But for now, it's just this: who am I? Right? And I urge you to right now write down on a pen and paper, who am I? Just write the question down, who am I? And don't run away from it. Right? Try and figure what this answer is. Try and figure out what this answer is. And I am telling you this because I know it. Right? There's hope, there's belief, and then there's knowing. I know this now. I know this now. Right? So because I know this now, I'm telling. It's up to you to hope for it, to believe for it, and to know it. And all I can tell you is you can blindly know it too because I'm telling it to you. I'm happy doing that. I'm happy with you doing that. But what I do want you to do is to figure this out yourself. Because you won't get freedom. You won't feel free if you don't go through that journey too. You have to go through that journey. This is not me saying, this is the answer and now you can rest. No. If you want to, you can, yo. That's free will. If you want to, you can, but that is not where your salvation lies. Your freedom lies in you going on this journey and figuring this out for yourself. And if it's not the answer, then figure that out too. And let me know, right? And I'll say this. So I want to finish this off with the freedom piece. My last piece was my ego, right? So I worked on the piece of the universe, what we call the soul level. I worked on that. I worked on my body, which is what the experience is. So I worked on the experience of me, the body. The body has its own functioning. And then the last piece is the mind, right? So that's the ego. I know ego gets a bad rap, and that's because it's a wounded ego, right? So anyway, right. So that was the last piece I had to complete, and my ego was stuck in my worth, and my ego was stuck to my worth being tied to money and women. Money and women, right? If I get money and women, I am worthy, right? And it's no, no. The soul work that I did and the body work that I did has let me know that being on this divine path, that is where the worth lies. And so obviously my mind was like, no, 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 no. That's not the story. That's not what we're here. That's not what we're doing. And then so I was like, okay, I spoke about it. I talked to my ego like how I would talk with any friend. Right? It's like barking at me. I'm like, okay, you're barking. Let's go through that conversation. Right? Don't be afraid to look like you're crazy when you're going through this conversation, because it's a conversation with you, yo, and you might look crazy. That's all right, just don't don't spend too much time in there, right? Because our egos can destroy everything. All right, yeah, but just spend some good time. You'll know when it's time to move forward. Anyway, I digress. I told myself, okay, if money and women are not what makes me worth it, then what does? And my body and my soul knew. It's like, hey, you're on this path, this journey. And everything else, yes, you can enjoy it. You can enjoy the money. You can enjoy the woman. Like, you can enjoy the family and all of that. Not saying not to. But what is the most important thing? And this one is a little this one is more for the men. I would say this is where we have separation. I would say between, and I'm gonna say men, actually masculine and feminine, right? Because there's men and women in both, and if you're transgender, like whatever, right? I'm talking about that dynamic of masculine and feminine, and I knew at that moment that that I would let everything go for this path. And then I had to sort of like prove it to myself, right? So I went out for a walk. I was just like, yo, let me, my ego is believing this, right? This story now of, hey, okay, damn. So it's like, if I'm on this divine path, then I'm worthy. I'm worthy. And then so I needed to get a haircut too. Okay. And I just like was walking. I went to one of actually the most prosperous looking hair salon. It's called 2 a.m. Hair Salon, by the way. Plug too, if you want to go check it out. I went there. This dude Benny owns the place. I go in, I walk in, and I tell him, I was like, yo, I want a haircut and stuff. He's like, yeah, you'll just have to wait for a little bit. And I tell him, I'm like, yo, I don't have my wallet. I don't have my phone, and I didn't. I just came out like I didn't have any of that. And all I had was this, right? All I had was this, and I told him, I'm like, yo, after the haircut, like I can go and get the money. And at first he hesitated. He's like, yo, you can go get it, and I'll like, and then you can come back. And I was like, no, I would like, I appreciate that, but I would rather just do the haircut now, and then go and then come back. And then he said, okay. He said, okay. And then he gave me a awesome, awesome fade. Right? Okay. So the beard I did when I came home, because he was like, yo, you came walking. I don't have time for doing the whole thing. And that's a beautiful part too. This is where free will comes in, right? It wasn't forceful. Anyway, right? So he does the head. And I was like, wow, walking out. So that my ego could rest at that point in time. And coincidentally, actually, it seems like a coincidence, but it's not. There was another woman there, and her and I met at a different salon way back when, and then we hit it off. I DM'd her and she never got back to me. So she's here too, and at the same salon. She's here too at the same salon, and she sees me and she's like, "Whoa!" I think like she recognizes me and I recognize her. I didn't say a word. I didn't say a word. Why is that? Because again, right? The new data point for me was that I'm on this path. I'm on this divine path. And if someone doesn't recognize that, like if a woman doesn't recognize that, if a guy, if a woman that I'm attracted to doesn't recognize that, then it's like, okay, respectfully. And that's what I did. I didn't say a word. She looked at me, I looked at her, and I was like, okay. And that's what I mean. And there was a sign that said freedom on the side there. And, you know, it was after that I realized, like, wow, this is what freedom is. Freedom is being on that path, being on this divine path, enjoying life in the in-between. And that's it. And then this worth piece comes in from being on that path. Knowing that I'm on the path, taking steps towards it, however small, failing through it, laughing through it, and always being in my joy. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is abundance mentality. Wow. Alrighty. This video has gone way longer than what I expected. Anyway, I'll end off on the same note that I started. Who am I? I'm a piece of the universe, experiencing itself through Elton's perspective, on the divine path. A authenticity philosophist, and I'm on a mission to let you know a healing journey which begins from within towards authenticity is the answer to freedom. Much love, and stay blessed. And subscribe for more. Let's go, baby!